Another episode of Indian Creek Bow Hunting Journal. Welcome. We're back out at the ranch and got a couple of days off this week. I was out here about 8-10 days ago last week on Monday and Tuesday. It's now Thursday. I was in the blind this morning, got here about 1:30 in the morning, and it is freezing cold, as you can see. Icicles. So it's probably about maybe 31, 32 degrees. It's not really staying, but it's cold. This morning I was in the blind and had whitetail everywhere. Had a really nice buck come in, but it's February and we're a month and a half beyond whitetail season, so definitely couldn't shoot him, but he'll be around for next year. And I'm back out here trying to get that big old axis buck that I stuck an arrow through. Basically gave him an ear piercing on his back, and he showed up twice since last week when I had that opportunity last week. He was coming almost every night. He's only been 2 times since I pierced his back, and that was 6 days ago. And then last night, or yesterday morning, I should say, at about 12:30 a.m. The other time, 6 days ago, he was there at about 9:30 at night. So it's going to be another sit into the night, freezing cold. And I'm hoping he comes in again tonight, as I'm going to try to stay out there till 1 a.m. It's going to be hard, but I'm going to give it a try. I'm an old man now. It gets harder and harder. So, anyways, thanks for watching Indian Creek Bow Hunting Journal.
Nothing new under the sun, one life to live, seeking fun. But shallow is the self-lived life. For me, myself, oh, so much strife. But Jesus is the answer for a life perplexed and wanting more. It's never easy self to deny, but it's the only way to a life on high.
We are getting settled in the blind here. I'm going to get my little smoker thing going right there, because our wind is really, really bad. It's coming, this middle blind is not good for a north wind, and it's northwest right now. It's calling for northeast, which northwest blows kind of right by. Got the feeder over here, and northwest wind is blowing about like that way, and northeast is going to blow that way. And that's the direction those axis deer come from. So I get this smoker going good and just keep it kind of smoldering. And this morning it was blowing the same way. And those whitetail deer didn't know I was here. Plus it's wet. That'll keep some of the scent down. But that smoke will keep them from knowing I'm even here. Just like this morning. So let's get to hunting and be quiet and sit down and relax and wait for that big old axis buck to come in.
So on this trip we had lots of whitetail. They seem to be everywhere on this trip. I mean, where were these all these doe on the last trip I had during doe season? But I did have this buck. This is a buck I missed during season, and he's a more mature deer. He was a lot more puffed up earlier when I took a shot at him and missed him. But he is actually tending a doe. This is in February, the first part of February, and it's hard to believe he's still tending a doe, but he is. Anyway, so I went home with nothing, but I will be back.
We are in the blind this morning. Had a great encounter this morning, right about shooting light, right over here. It was a big old axis buck, probably the same one we had an encounter with about 3 weeks ago. And man, he is nice. He's really big, 200 plus pounds probably by now. Had the great deep freeze here in Texas last week. Really difficult on the deer. I'm sure a lot of the axis deer fawns probably died. Haven't walked my property yet, but I'm going to try to walk the property before I leave and see if I find any dead deer. I have a rancher friend that has 10,000 acres on the other side of Rock Springs, and he said that they estimate about 25% of the axis deer died. Don't know if that's true or not, but here we have a lot of cedar, so there's enough cover for the deer to get away from that wind. But it was 4 degrees with a 15-mile-an-hour wind, and I can understand if you have no cedar for those deer to get in. Probably a bunch of them died, just froze to death. Anyways, got my new Matthews V3. Just bought it. About a week ago. I've had about 6 times out shooting it. It was hard getting used to this bow compared to my PSE Evolve 28. You know I'm a PSE fanboy if you've been watching the show. But it's been a love-hate relationship with this bow because it shoots really sweet. But man, I could not shoot it worth a darn. I could not get good groups, but the 5th and 6th time, especially yesterday, my 6th time shooting it, I was getting some really good groups out to 60 yards, so I think I got it dialed in. So, anyway, a lot of these deer are coming in, not coming into the feeder, but just kind of milling around, but we're going to see what we can do today. I got to fix a bunch of broken water lines. I believe I haven't walked the water line yet, but I'm sure I got a bunch of leaks, so I'm going to have to take care of that too on this trip. So let's get done.
That morning sit consisted of watching a lot of white-tailed deer, never coming into the feeder, but just staying off at a distance. And then that evening, I had this nice big-bodied axis deer, but he's definitely a younger deer. And so I was not going to shoot him. If it was a doe, I definitely would have shot her. We shoot every doe that we get a chance to shoot just to make sure that we keep the numbers down, because they are definitely growing in numbers on the ranch. But it never dawned on me that this was one of the deer that was running with that big bunch that I was seeing on the cameras. And so if you watch this right here, I finally see that deer in the background, and it was those big old bucks. And I was thinking, yes, here come those big bucks. But as you can tell, with these deer, there is only one that was really a shooter, because I mean they're all three of these deer are mature, but 2 of them, one of them maybe is grown halfway, and the other one maybe 80% grown. I really didn't want to shoot those deer. And then there was this deer that's ready to be shot. I believe this is the same one that I actually was unable to shoot on the evening of the first episode of this year. So watch this as I continue to just watch these deer. I watched them for quite some time, probably about 12 to 15 minutes, as they just kind of milled around in the distance with the young one eating at the feeder. This was the first time I ever caught really cool rutting activity with axis deer on camera. And little did I know there was actually a couple of does that were hot back behind the trees. I hadn't seen them yet.
I thought for sure they were coming in. Man, they're still back over there. Oh my goodness. That one. There was one that big one I could have shot. He was fully grown. But there were two others there that were huge bucks. Well, you saw them on the camera. Huge bucks, but I wasn't going to shoot. They're just not grown up yet. Maybe they'll still come in. They're just kind of feeding over there through the trees. Had a white dildo over here blow, and I don't know why she blew. Made him a little nervous. Probably that big one was the one I saw this morning right over here. Man. Well, maybe they'll still come in. I'm going to sit and just watch them.
Sure enough, as soon as those big bucks disappear, I see why they were hanging around.
Yeah, I knew the doe weren't too far behind them. We got some axis doe over here. And those big bucks made their way over here. So we're back over towards those doe. So hopefully those doe come in. If they come in, I think those big bucks will hang around. Come on in.
They eventually bedded down for about 30 minutes or so, and then they got back up and disappeared and showed up. Looked like they were coming in. I was getting really excited. But for some reason, whatever they didn't like, they did not make it to the feeder. And I thought, well, I'm going to have to take a shot whenever I can or whenever I get an opportunity. They made their way around the back side of the tree in front of the blind, just in a position where I couldn't shoot them. But eventually those doe began to walk out, and I thought, well, when those bucks come through, I'm going to take my opportunity. So watch this. Bye-bye, Mr. Axis Deer.
That is so frustrating. I can't blame that on the equipment. That arrow was straight as an arrow and went right where I was aiming, because I shot him. He was 46, about 47 yards, but I shot him. I put that 40-yard pin right on his shoulder. And reason why is because I expected him, with the release of the arrow, for him to duck really deep. He didn't even duck till the arrow got to him. I've never had that happen. Usually these deer are just so on edge. But I'm telling you, there is a huge difference in noise between my PSE Evolve 28 and this Matthews V3. Because I'm telling you, that thing didn't even make hardly any noise when I released that arrow. I mean, last year I shot an Axis doe at 46 yards, the same distance pretty much. She was just a little bit further, 15, maybe 10 yards to the left of him. And I shot the 40-yard pin on my PSE Evolve, and guess what she did? She ducked down into it. I did that intentionally. I did this intentionally. I didn't think they were going to come in, because those doe were already walking out. And when they start doing that, feeding out, they're not interested in coming to the feeder. So I figured that was my shot at the one that I could have shot. I was really tempted to shoot this other bigger one. He's actually going to be a bigger deer, but he's only probably 3/4, maybe 80% grown. I really didn't want to shoot him. But I doubt they come back in tonight, but we're going to sit back and still try to see if we can hunt these deer. They may come back in, we'll see.
I'm going to go ahead and close this video out since it's getting a little bit long. I haven't posted a video in a while, but as you can see, the Axis deer are rutting hard, really hard. So I'm going to try to get back out there as soon as I can, maybe even next week. I try to make it at least once every other week, at least once every 3 weeks or so. But I've also got some water issues I still got to take care of from the deep freeze. So, and then also the association needs some help with some stuff. So I'm going to try to head back out there next week again. And as always, we'll bring you everything we got. I am finishing up a review on that Matthews V3 bow. You'll be sure to want to check that out after this video. This is the Bow Hunting Radneck for Indian Creek Bow Hunting Journal. Thank you so much for watching. I greatly appreciate it.